Hello, Salemites. Welcome to your daily dose of days. Oh my gosh. So, when we left Friday with Ava. She had placed a bomb in the church and it was ticking down. When it left, it was like on 2, and she was telling Trip to run. We see the explosion and we don't know. We wonder all weekend, did anyone survive? I'm here to tell you right away, everyone survived, including Ava. She's in the hospital. She had the worst of the injuries, at least physically. Uh, we thought Nicole might have had a broken arm or leg or something, but it turns out she did not. So thank goodness for that. Okay, so when we first go back in today, if you remember Friday, Johnny was outside the church talking to Ava, kind of calling her out. And she's like, well, your dad started this because he kidnapped Trip. And he's like, is Trip okay? And she said, yeah, he's fine. Kayla and Patch went and rescued him. And he said, okay, so Trip was free and he's fine, and you still took my grandmother and run her off the road. I don't know if he said the run her off the road part, but he did say, you still took, why did you still take my grandmother? When he said that to her, that's when Sister Mary, Mother Margaret, whatever her name was, I can't get her name, but it's Sister Mary something, Mother Mary, it's one of those, anyway, she come out looking for Johnny, or telling Johnny, everybody was waiting on him for him to get back in. So that's when she told Johnny, he's like, oh, everybody's waiting on me. And she said, well, I told him to go on, but then this young man came in screaming shouting at your daddy. And he's like, shouting at my dad? What's shouting what? And he said something about him kidnapping. Then it clicks in Ava, Mafia Princess, head that, oh no, this is Trip. Trip's in there. She said, is it Trip? Is it Trip Johnson? And she said, I do believe that's what she said her name was. So his name was. So she wants to run in to save him. That's how we got left. And that's just a testament to parents in general. I won't say just mothers, but parents in general. Most parents would do anything to save their children, even risking their own life. That's nothing, to a mother, to a parent. Anyway, so when we took off today, everybody's laying around. It shows them all, EJ with blood on his head. Ava's flat out on her back in her little fake wig and stuff. Trip was the first one that got his consciousness back, and he had a really bad headache. So he immediately is trying to find Ava, I think. EJ woke up next. John Roman, he was looking for Johnny, of course. Why? Once again, there's the parent factor. So thank God for our parents, huh? So anyway, he gets Johnny up, and he's looking for Nicole, and Johnny's looking for Grandma, which is Marlena. He goes and helps her up. They get up. They're looking for Nicole. She's not as in a good shape. There's a big beam laying on her leg. Trip at this point is over, saying that Ava's not breathing. I know that Marlena went over and was trying to help him and see if she had a pulse or anything. But then EJ and Johnny was trying to lift the beam off Nicole's leg, and it was too heavy, and Trip went over and helped. And wasn't that nice of him? I'm fed up with Trip, man. I'm going to tell you now. I mean, I understand his undying love and defense of his mother, but he's going to have to come face to face. My mother is the reason all this happened to her and our family and everybody. Yes, EJ kidnapped Trip. He was just trying to deal with Ava. He thought he could persuade her to trade her son for his mother, and nobody would have to take his money, or that they didn't have a right to, like little grubby-handed Ava does. So, anyway, he helps get, Trip helps get the beam off Nicole. They're all trying to get Nicole up. And, you know, Trip's like, I got to get her to a hospital, talking about Ava. And Johnny said, yeah, all of us need to be there. You know, you could tell that Johnny was a little bit aggravated, like, you know, don't be talking to us about helping your mother, who tried to take every one of us, including you, out here. You know, so everybody's going out, and everybody just walks past Ava and Trip because, again, they're looking for the people who didn't call the accident to help them. You know, of course, if you've taken your doctor oath and you know, I worked in the medical field for years. I went to nursing school in like 1984. So, I mean, you were not supposed to, you know, hold any bias against anyone. That's, if someone comes in, well, I've shot all these people, I've done all this, and you're supposed to be able to take care of the person that did the harm as well. And that goes for nurses, all medical professionals actually. It goes for everyone in the medical profession. You're supposed to be able to take care of these people without having judgments or bias against them. But, you know, Johnny's not medical personnel. Everyone had gone out of the church, pretty much. They were taking Nicole out. And Tripp said, Johnny, help me get her out of here. And Johnny just stood there and looked at him for a minute. And I know what he was thinking. He was thinking, I can't believe you're going to ask me to help you take the person who killed my grandmother and tried to kill me and my dad and my other grandmother and Nicole and his aunt. Nobody's telling me where Mother Mary Margaret, it's his sister, isn't it? Sister Mary Margaret. Or they're calling her something else. It starts with an M. After Mary. It's sister. It's not mother. What's wrong with me? Anyway, sorry about that. So, nobody looked for her or thought about her. And there was a minister there. I just thought about that. You didn't see the minister or the nun. You know, did they not survive? Maybe they didn't survive. I don't know. So anyway, Johnny says, well, my grandmother would insist that you help anyone regardless of what they've done to you. If you can help someone, you're supposed to. So in honor of my grandmother, Susan Banks, I'll help you carry her out. But you know, he was hesitant. He had those thoughts, and you can't blame them. So they all got looked at the hospital. Marlena didn't. She went on home, covered in her little face was all dirty and stuff. So she goes home, and there's some interesting things happening there. So John's plan to win Kristen over, you know, to possibly spill the beans to him, kind of backfires on him a little bit. But it seems like it's going well when he's talking to her, and then she had to leave to go pick Rachel up. So John was there by himself. He called and left Marlena a message that he thought things went well. I think that's what he said. But, of course, Marlena didn't answer because, well, you know, she's just had her butt blown up by a psychopathic, murdering, crazy mafia princess, Ava Vitale. So, crazy Ava. She's like a cat with 9 lives, isn't she? Here she is. Like Rafe said, you may have cheated death again. And she absolutely did. You know, maybe she cheated death, or depends on how you look at it. Maybe God's given her a chance to get her life together. So, anyway, I'm sure that's not what's going to play out. But just because shows don't generally bring religion or anything like that into them, unless it's something specific to that, like the possessions, the devil, and all that we had going on. And the devil certainly knows his way around Salem. So anyway, Nicole was checked out. Sarah said, she doesn't have any broken bones. They're just sprained. I'm getting the impression, because EJ's talking to her, and Sarah went on and bandaged or looked like she stripped him up. He had a pretty nasty cut on his head. And he just wanted to see about Nicole. When they got to the hospital, Johnny was trying to get him to be checked, and he said, no, I got to find Nicole. So what's going on with him and Nicole? It makes me think they're going to hook up again. And then who's going to come back into the picture? Sammy. And just a rerun of what we just saw before Sammy got her butt in a knot and went out of town, which AKA went over to Lifetime to do some Christmas movies. So, I hope that they're not going to rerun that crap again. But because EJ always picks Samantha for some reason, and not that I'm the biggest fan of Nicole, because she's a little on the skanksta side, but still, I felt sorry for her today. EJ went over and sat beside her and was saying, are you alright? And she said, I was saying I was at the church, but I'm not. And she's getting a little weepy, like she's going to cry, and EJ, hugs her. Well, while he's hugging her, who walks in like Mr. Superman? Eric himself. Oh, wait, he's dressed. He doesn't have Sloan dragging off the back of his coat. So, I think him and Sloan are going to make a great couple. This is probably the first just friends with benefits relationship that Eric's ever had, is with Sloan. But anyway, she told Eric, I'm alright, no breaks, just sprains. And he said, well, good. He might have said somebody told him, or as soon as I heard, I rushed over here. And EJ said, yeah, she's just got to go home and get some rest, and she's going to go home with me. And I thought, man, EJ is asking for it, because saying Nicole's going home with you is exactly what made Eric punch you in the face last week. So, it's like he's pushing that button. So, and Eric just looks at him, and he said, well, okay, or whatever. I don't even know if he said anything, actually. And then EJ's like, but thanks for stopping by, indicating to him, stage left, you goofy butt. So, Eric said he was glad she was okay, and he walked out, and Nicole almost cries then. I think that Nicole is going to have a little bit of PTSD from this whole Ava trying to kill her scenario. Because she's I know it just happened and she's going to be emotional, but she just seems like she's just really shaken up by all this. And this is a situation, you just have seconds. Like, I think when Ava exposed the bomb under the table, they had 5 seconds on the thing, and it just clicked down so quick it was on 2 when she told Tripp to run. And, I was surprised Friday when they were showing what we didn't see Friday, which was everybody, right after she said there's a bomb and lifted up the table. When she said there's a bomb, everybody was like, and just looking at her. If I would have heard the word bomb, my butt would have been out of there like ASAP. I wouldn't have been listening for the next breath. But sometimes, and especially in high pressure situations, and very tense things like this, when your adrenaline's just getting ready to blow your head off, it's pumping so hard, that it takes a minute for your mind to process that, to get it to your brain, to actually what's going on. And I think they did real well with that, actually. So, I remember seeing a flash of Nicole's face, and I'm thinking, there's a half a second you waste turning your head and dropping your mouth, girl. You should run. So, but it takes a minute for you to just, what? It's just so overwhelming, the whole situation. So, it's that do or die adrenaline that kicks in, So, anyway, she's okay, and Eric walks out. Um, Sarah treated Nicole and EJ. It doesn't look like I don't think Johnny saw a doctor. He was outside. He was outside in the little hallway there, where Xander was talking to him, and he said, like, "What was your dad? Happened to your dad? I seen the place on his head, and what's going on?" And he said, "Oh, we just came from the church, my grandmother's memorial." And he said, "Yes, there was an explosion. I just heard about that." And he said, "What was it, a gas leak?" He said, "No, it was a bomb." And he's like, "A bomb?" And he said, "Yeah." And he's like, who would set a bomb off in a church?" And he said, "Ava Vitale." And he said, "Ava's dead." And Johnny's like, "That's what we all thought till she showed up at the church and she tried to take every one of us out." And, again, I'm wondering why they didn't say anything about the nun and the minister. That would be tragic if Susan's twin sister was killed by the bomb. Nobody was concerned about getting them out, so I'm not sure what happened to them, and you don't hear them or see nothing about them. So they just left them unconscious in there, I guess. I don't know. That can't be an overlook for the writing people, I don't think. Something's going on with them. Surely. Anyway, we know now Xander's freaking out when he just found out Ava Vitale is alive. Mafia princess. So, Xander's just not believing it. And he said, "Hey, she's right in there. If you don't believe me, go see for yourself." So he did. He went to the room, and Ava was laying in there on the bed, and she was, I don't know if Tripp had already been in there. I think he had, yeah. So, she's in there, and she opens her eyes, and he's like, "Ava, I thought you were dead." And she said, what did she say to him? Seems like she said something like returning to the scene of the crime or something. I don't know exactly. She said something to him, and he's just devastated and looking at her and wondering what this means for him. And anyway, gosh, I just can't remember what their little conversation was there. It wasn't much. And she told him that she needs him to get her out of the handcuffs, because Rafe came in and arrested her prior to that. I'll tell you about that in a second. I got ahead of myself. Anyway, she tells she's going to be arrested for 5 counts of attempted murder. And again, I don't think that includes the priest or the nun. Oh, I'm going to have to count in a minute. I don't want to take up your all's time doing that. So, she tells him she needs him get me out of these handcuffs first of all, and then I want you to get me out of this hospital. And he's like, "Ava." And she's like, "And if you don't, I'm gonna tell Sarah that you are my accomplice in kidnapping Susan and Bonnie." And he's still just standing there with his mouth hanging off. Was that the end of the show today? It might have been. But before he got there, of course, Tripp was in there with his mom, holding her hand, and she wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, Mom." And she's like, "Tripp," and they hug, and they're so glad to see each other. And she's like, you have to believe that I had no idea you were in that church. And when I found out you were, I had to go back in to save you. She's making him think, I went back in to save you. I'm a good mother. But I was going to blow your butt up when I didn't know you were in there. And he, and he was talking to her, and he's like, "Mom, why in the world would you set a bomb off to hurt and possibly kill all those innocent people?" And she didn't get to answer him before Rafe and Patch walked in. And Rafe's like, "Yeah, I'd like to know the answer to that." And she said something smart-ass to Rafe. Smart Alec to Rafe. And He goes and he tells her, he's like, Ava Vitale, you're under the arrest for the attempted murder of 5 people. And he goes over and handcuffs her to the bed. He said, you're going away for a long time. So Patch is trying to get Trip to go be seen by a doctor or nurse or anybody because he's got a little coughing problem. He inhaled a lot of that smoke. All of them did. I think all of them should have been seen, even though Marlena went back home. And I didn't finish telling you about that, did I? But anyway, so Ava tells Trip, do what your father says, go get checked. And he said, okay, but I'm going to be right back. So Patch goes with him. And that's when Rafe tells her, you're going away for a long time, Ava. And she says to him, we'll see about that. And that's before Xander came in to see her. She's already hatching this plan. You know what? I wait for Gwen to step up and run Ava out of town or do something to keep her from going after Xander like that. I feel like Gwen's gonna get a little piece of the action. She already stepped out when she's trying to be goody two-shoes, you know, for her dad, and did that stuff for Xander, which she can go to jail for. She was an accomplice with him. But of course, when they did that little stunt to convince Bonnie last week that what was that? That he was not part of, you know, kidnapping her, because she could see the clown. That was Leo, of course. So that's going on. It'll be interesting to see what Xander does. Now, getting back to the whole John thing, I don't think I said how it ended up hitting him in the face. He did. He conversated with Kristen before she went to get Rachel. Anyway, she comes back and left Rachel. She went to a friend's or something. And Brady and John are just looking at her. And then in walks Marlena, and she's got, her little face is dirty and stuff. I did say that. I remember saying her little face was dirty. And John is kissing her and hugging her and telling her it's going to be all right. And Kristen says, well, isn't that sweet? Y'all are already kissing and making up. And, you know, Brady's like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, earlier your dad confided in me, and John's going to her, no, that him and Marlena had a fight because your ice-cold, veined stepmother, wanted to kick me out of the house. Throw me out in the cold. What do you, and he confided in me that him and Marlena were having a disagreement about it, because he wanted me to stay and she wants to throw me out. What do you think about that, Brady? And he's just looking at her because he doesn't care. He knows Marlena don't like Kristen. But John is over there like freaking out. Now, Marlena her eyes were shooting around. I'm hoping that she remembered that John was going to do this or do something with Kristen. And since she didn't know exactly what was going on, she'd done been through trauma herself. You know, she wasn't paying any attention. I think that's about it. Everything that happened for today. So, I think that's it. Yeah. I think that's it. So that is for Monday, December 19th. And I will see you tomorrow in Salem.